everyone, Daisy here doing another layout. This time I'm using sketch number 114 over at sketchandscrap.blogspot.com, and I am using a bunch of different Maggie Holmes collections for this layout. The photo is one of me and my oldest daughter, and she had taken this photo. In order to scrap it, she wanted a new photo of me and her to do a scrap lift, and unfortunately I do not have the link to the layout that she scrap lifted, but I will post a picture of her layout at the end of this video. The photo is just of me and her, and she had edited it herself and used a kind of sepia tone, and I just love that picture. I think we both look great in it. Now I'm just pulling out some papers out of the Maggie Holmes confetti and crepe paper notes and things. I'm not sure if that's Maggie Holmes, but they all go together. So then I'm also pulling out some 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, and they are from a hot buy pack that I got at Michael's. It came with a lot of different papers, and you got 3 copies of each one. So these are some of the ones that I love the most. And that wood grain paper there, oh, that is just gorgeous. I wish I had a 12 by 12 version of that. So here I'm just going to trim down my photo, and I did have problems with my trimmer. I didn't realize that the blade is dull, and then I did something that bent it, so it was not cutting straight, and so it caused me a lot of frustration that I tried to cut some of it out of the video, and I do end up changing the blade halfway through, and then it started working better. So I was thinking about using that heart kind of bokeh paper and turning the whole layout on its side so it was vertical instead of horizontal. But I do change my mind just because I wanted to go in a different direction, I guess, and I felt like the picture wasn't big enough to stand up to a vertical layout, I guess. So here you just see me cutting down some photo layers. And then I believe this is, yep, where I changed my mind, and I'm going to use this floral print instead. And I really, really like this floral print. I'm just going to cut it down a little bit, and then I'm going to use the border punch right there. That is a punch I just got from Hobby Lobby. It is the Paper Studio punch. It was on clearance for $5.99 because it doesn't have the packaging with it anymore. So I picked that up just recently, and it makes a very small like scallop with the little like hole punched out of it, and you can hardly notice it in the video. In person you can pick it up a little bit better, but so I'm going to use this teal paper here, and I'm just going to cut some strips down, and I'm going to use that as another layer for my main strip, and so I'm going to use the border punch on that as well. And this punch takes some muscle to use. You really have to push down hard on it. So then I turn that main floral paper, I turn it over so that the scallop is at the bottom, and then I put the teal paper at the top with the scallop showing. And then I just use some of this heart bokeh paper as a layer. Felt like I needed something a little bit lighter to help the photo stand out from that busy floral background. And I'm also going to use some Hero Arts ink in a little bit to ink the edges of that, the pink paper, to help it stand out even more. So now I'm just going to trim up those paper layers because they were cut with my broken trimmer blade. And then I'm going to tape everything down. Now in the sketch, the photo is kind of turned at an angle like I have it now, and I actually do like the way that is. However, when I start embellishing, I forgot that I meant to have my photo kind of turned at an angle, and so it ends up being straight. Excuse me. So those cork tags are from Freckled Fawn, and I got them in one of the kits when I was a subscriber, and I think they're great. I just have not been able to really use them. I kind of struggle to use things like cork and craft because they're so neutral, and I feel like, I don't know, I guess I just don't really know how to use them the best. But this one, because the floral paper is so busy, I thought that I wanted something very neutral to go with it, and I feel like Maggie Holmes and crepe paper papers lend very well to using things like craft and cork. So I pulled out all of my cork embellishments to see if I could use some of them up. So here's where I ink the edges. Now those tags from Freckled Fawn, they have a black, I don't know, paint or ink or something on the edges of them, and unfortunately they do get a big smudge on my page. But I don't notice it until closer to the end, so I don't end up doing anything about it because I wasn't gonna change it out. It's just a small smudge and it's not too terrible. So then I decided I needed some more embellishments, obviously, and I don't have any Maggie Holmes embellishments. I don't have any ephemera packs or anything. So I was trying to think of what would go with this, and I figured October Afternoon has similar colors, and they do the cream base too. So I had just gotten a box, a warehouse sale box, so I pulled out a bunch of the die cuts from that and started layering them up. And I did speed this part of the video up quite a bit because I mess around with these a lot, and then I trim down all of the little knobbies that come from them being cut from a die cut sheet, and then I also ink all the edges using some soft granite ink from Hero Arts. Oh, I also cut off the little triangle piece that makes it look like a speech bubble. I think all of the die cuts that I got from the Daily Flash flash bulbs, I think all of those were actually like little speech bubbles, and I hate using speech bubbles unless I actually mean them to be a speech bubble, so I just clip off the little triangle piece. So I'm trying to include some of that pink and that turquoise color and then some yellow in each one of the little clusters. And I'm going to end up with kind of 3 clusters around the photo and then 1 more cluster up in that right corner. So as you can see, my photo has started to straighten itself out as I'm messing around with these embellishments. And I'm just trying to decide how I want to layer these things, and I wanted to do that more as a banner, but then decided it looked better kind of straight up and down. And that little cluster didn't have any yellow in it, so I brought down part of one of those banners and put it down there. So now I'm just going to start adhering things down, and I'm popping some of the embellishments up and leaving some of them flat. Those tags up there, I do use a Pebbles roller date stamp to put the date on it, and then I use an Amy Tangerine phrase stamp and I think it says, "Aren't you lovely?" And I stamped that a couple of times in the soft granite ink. And then I adhere them up there. So this is the 5th or 6th time I'm doing this voiceover. Every time so far I have gotten interrupted, or one time my nose just started running uncontrollably, so all you could hear was me sniffing. So hopefully this one turns out, because I don't think I could do this another time. So there you saw I had gone to adhere the photo down and realized that that strip in the background wasn't adhered down, and I had to pull it all up so that I could adhere it down, and then my photo gets completely straightened out when I put it back down, because I totally forgot it was supposed to be kind of at an angle. And that cluster down in that bottom left corner, I'm using it to cover up what's on my t-shirt. My t-shirt, it wasn't a big deal, it had a picture of Deadpool and he was saying something funny, but I just felt it looked better if it was covered up. So now I'm using some of this baker's twine, and I think it's American Crafts twine, and I'm trying to put it in all of the tags. Those Freckled Fawn tags, the holes in them are so small, and because I had already put adhesive on the back of a couple of them, it was almost impossible to get the twine through, but I finally worked it out. So in that cluster there where that pink tag is, I kind of created some trapped space in between the photo and that pink tag. And it really bothers me, and I should have tried to pull the tag up to move it over a little bit to get rid of it, but instead I try to come up with a different way to cover it. And I don't particularly like what I did to cover it, but it's fine. It's not that bad. Nobody else is going to care, so I just left it. So I'm just layering these banner pieces, and they're all from October Afternoon. And then I'm pulling out a burlap little bow that's from the American Crafts DIY shop or something like that. And then I'm going to use some of these little cork hearts, and they are jelly bean soup hearts. And then I am going to pull out a stamp, a little heart stamp, and that is from a Fisker's stamp set that's for card making. It has a bunch of sentiments on it, and I use my Stays On black ink to kind of randomly stamp it around the layout. And for my title, I end up pulling out some Heidi Swap epoxy stickers, and I found this word happiness, and it was the perfect color. Sorry about my head there. Perfect color, and it just fit perfectly where I wanted to put my title. So I end up using it. It is a little hard to read on the video, but in person you can see it a lot better. And then I used some Target Dollar Spot craft colored letter stickers to write out my. And then towards the end I do try to put a pinwheel to cover up that trapped space, but it's just too big and it just doesn't make it on a layout, so I do end up taking that out. But I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers, and thank you for watching, and I hope you like and subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you again next time. Thank you. Bye.